My friends, this morning we welcome Teri Stegman as our Darshanit. Teri has been a Catholic educator both at the high school and elementary school level for over 35 years, the last 20 years as a school administrator. She earned her master's degree in pastoral theology and presently serves as assistant principal 4 days a week at Old Mission School in San Luis Obispo, where she also teaches ethics and religious studies classes to the 8th grade. And for this morning, most importantly, Teri is also one of Emma's aunts. It is a pleasure to be able to share the Bima with her this morning.
Good morning. It is my honor to be part of your service this morning. Today, our bat mitzvah's name is Emma, and I learned that it means faith and unwavering resolve in Hebrew. It really takes people with faith and unwavering resolve to see what is wrong in the world and then work with perseverance to make it whole again. Something we're all called to do. I know the Torah portion of Ki Tetzei is about making the world more whole. And the theme this week is when you go out. I also know this is the last month of the Jewish year and a time of looking toward a personal return to God with all your heart. There is a song we sing in my parish called Come Back to Me during our season of personal renewal. And God's words to us in the song are, "Long have I waited for your coming home to me and living deeply a new life." Finally, I understand this is a month of focusing on mercy and forgiveness. I read it is often expressed as a time the king is in the fields instead of the palace, and each person who would like to is invited to meet him. He receives every person with a cheerful countenance and shows a willing face to each one. Cheerful countenance, smiling face, warm welcome, kindness, mercy, and compassion. These offer a real challenge to us when we go out. When I studied the passages from Deuteronomy for this morning, I realized very quickly that it is easy to miss some momentous teachings when they appear in the midst of a series of miscellaneous laws about rebellious sons or fallen donkeys or rules of military behavior or a newlywed's year of grace or good hygiene or fair pay and fair treatment, mother birds, delicious foods, safe homes, escaping slaves, marriage violations, justice, and widows and orphans. The teaching that caught my attention, and I thought I could have easily missed it, was about a child's inheritance. And the passage goes like this. If a man has 2 wives, one he loves now and the other unloved, and both have borne him sons, then when he wills property to his sons, he may not treat the firstborn, the son of the loved one, in disregard of the son of the unloved one, who is older. Instead, he must accept the firstborn, since the birthright is his due. For me, this passage speaks to family relationships and to fair treatment of all children, and exactly what each one of us will leave for our inheritance when it comes to every young person who crosses into our lives in whatever relationship. whether they are our favorites or not. A wise man once wrote, "I have 3 children. To the first, I bequeath my personality and appearance. To the second, I bequeath my money. And to the third, I bequeath good character." When they were young, the child who was most like me received my fondest love. As they grew, the rich child was at the heart of my attention. But now, in my final days, I see with new vision something my fading eyes never perceived. Better had it been for them and me if good character had been the legacy of all 3. Parents warn their children to avoid drugs or teen pregnancy, but we don't always hear a parent instructing the children to avoid being pessimistic or unkind, or to avoid gossip, or to honor your word. Sometimes a parent is so uncaring, few parents are so uncaring that they would not take their child to the dentist or orthodontist and hand over large sums of money for fillings or braces. But do these same parents pay as much attention to character building? To all of us who work with children or attend services with children, or have children of our own, or teach or coach children, we have to consider the inheritance we pass to each child who comes into our lives. Do we want a child to be more kind or considerate or generous or caring? Being told to be nice or share your toys is just not enough of an inheritance for our next generation. Does a parent search for a school that teaches values as well as it teaches academics? Do we choose a coach who considers the welfare and the value of each player on that team before he considers beating the other team? There is no such thing as a child learning in a vacuum. Parents, teachers, coaches, and members of communities like Adat all play key roles in a child's approach to life. We all leave an inheritance for these young people. Sometimes any one of us adults may wonder, will the child in front of me inherit my bad traits? And the answer is, if there is no instruction to the contrary, a child will imitate the flaws of those around him at home, at school, at the synagogue or church, or on the field. On the other hand, they will also imitate the good they see around them. We worry about them copying our traits of selfishness and anger and pride and frustration, because after all, so many of us have seen children of alcoholics who eventually turn to drink. But should we also not worry about accompanying them through the journey, the hurts and the wonders of this new social media, or the journey through mistakes or failures that are bound to come? Have we left them alone sometimes to deal with this maze? For parents, it is very noble to leave our children a nest egg in case of hard financial times. But are we all working to make sure they inherit a repository of wisdom to know how to deal with the hardships that will surely come? When have they learned about trust, about building relationships, about respecting others' opinions, about personal crisis management, or developing their own system of ethics? Even when no one is watching, they will follow it. Are we living such carefree lives that our main concern is that our children's teeth are straight and the right college diploma hangs on the wall? Are we just as concerned that our children have fortitude and wisdom, forgiveness and mercy? Do we work so many hours to ensure a financial inheritance that we sometimes leave them orphans for long periods? If there is a second marriage, do we leave the children of the first marriage behind? Deuteronomy has several things to say about the firstborn children and about the orphans. Your grown children may be well off when you die, but what would each of them want to write on your tombstone? What will we really have left this next generation for their inheritance? Young people can't figure out by themselves all the ethics involved in every decision. They learn, they question, they copy. That is how they learn good manners, a sense of humor, how to talk, to play together, how to have hope in the future. And that is how they will learn to be ethical. I think of the story a Native American grandfather shared with his grandson about two wolves. He said, "I feel as if I have two wolves fighting in my heart. One wolf is angry, judgmental, and intolerant. The other wolf is the loving, compassionate, merciful, and forgiving one." And the grandson looked at him and asked, "Which wolf will win the fight in your heart?" And the grandfather looked at the young boy and answered, "The one I choose to feed, and the one people around me help me feed." 2 years ago, high school students in America were surveyed, and they were asked, if you saw your dog and a stranger drowning, which would you save? And over 80% said they would save their dog. It isn't that these children were taught to value animals so much, but rather they had not been taught to value each human being enough. When the average child sees thousands of deaths on TV, film, or video games, their respect for human life is bound to suffer. Lawrence Kohlberg wrote about the gift of moral development we pass on to our children. He starts with a question: why do we do the right thing? And he concludes that the worst reason to do the right thing is to avoid punishment. It is only a little better to do the right thing to get a reward. In education, we call it the M&M theory. Do the right thing, earn M&Ms, or maybe money for good grades, or a new phone. Or we can move forward and teach them to do the right thing because it's the law. But we all know the law doesn't cover things like our word is our bond, and we should go the extra mile to return things to their rightful owner, help a person who's in need, or be merciful or forgiving. We are asked to go beyond what is simply legal. Working our way to the 3 better reasons, we can teach our children to do the right thing to make us proud, or to impress the boss, or to show we are good children, or good parents, or good employees. Or we can go beyond that and teach our children to treat others the way we want to be treated. Or, the best reason of all, we could teach them to do the right thing because of our internal recognition of its importance and a genuine desire to help others. If we teach that, it will become ingrained in our descendants for many generations. However, if our kindness comes only from habit, it will not be internalized by the future generation, and we will not pass on a lasting inheritance to our children. Today I am praying that all of our young people grow to be faithful in resolve and persistent in making the world more whole. I hope they will be people with good character and confidence when they go out, because they have learned that kind of goodness and kindness from each of us. And that will be some inheritance. Shabbat Shalom.